I did start streaming and not recording. Let's see what Twitch says. Twitch says, oh, 3x2, which is 5x5. All right. And send it. All right, there we go. Chat room, let us know when you can see and hear us.
Yes, the smooth sounds of our voice.
Yep.
All right.
Within the sound of our voice. Where? Hang on. I've lost the show notes.
OMF! Yes, yeah. Podcasts. We have podcasts.
Yep. He's right here.
Okay.
Right here and one back there somewhere.
Yep. All right.
All right, guys. Going
good.
live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On this episode of the AIE Podcast.
Are you ready to patch?
The next TOT tournament starts tomorrow.
Hey guys, remind me, are dilithium crystals the traditional gift for a 15th anniversary?
Possible. And 64 is the new 32?
Ooh.
Yes.
Our friends Lars and Griebog are here to talk to us about WoW and STO and live service games.
All that and more coming up now.
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
Welcome to episode 433 of the podcast celebrating you, the Alia Octa Est gaming community, the Die Has Been podcast. And fresh back from my world tour, this is Makala.
Hi.
And to my left, wow, how do I podcast? And to my left is Tetsemi.
Hello. Yes, she was half a world away, literally.
Yes. And to our right, a few states over, is Mewcow.
Pregnant pause here.
Yep.
Your paws
Greetings, Gildy.
Yep.
I hope not. They're
wow.
boys.
All right. And with that, we are joined by our very special guests, Lars and Griebog. Welcome, folks.
Greetings.
Welcome.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and have a little chat about what we've been up to, starting with our friend Lars. What you up to, buddy?
So, traveling around Mexico a little bit, teaching. Week 3 of the semester starts tomorrow, and a little calmer. Maybe I can play more games now.
Oh, that sounds great. Awesome. And what about you, Griebog? Wow, I can't speak. How do
Welcome
I
to podcasting.
Hi.
I have a lot of people that call me Griborg, but
let
probably
that
because
work.
I play Star Trek. But
There you
I
go.
like that.
I can see that.
But I've been obviously playing Star Trek Online plus World of Warcraft. Those are my primary games. But outside of that, I put in an application for a job at Wowhead.
Excellent.
Nice.
That is awesome. All right, you. What have you been up to?
Oh, besides the slingshot of weather that we've been having here, because Texas doesn't know how to do anything correctly. We had a little bit of winter. That was confusing because it felt like winter was over because we were back in summer, and then winter came again, and we were like, "Huh, white stuff. Oh, now it's gone. Never mind. It's not there. It's not there." And then it was freezing for a few days, and then suddenly now I have the balcony open because it's back up to essentially late spring, early fall. So we were in the fall, spring, summer time right now.
Yeah.
It's normal for Texas. Honestly, it doesn't know what it wants to do half the time.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'll probably talk more about it when we talk about live service games. But I've been playing a bit of a game called the First. Is it the First Descendant? I think it's the First Descendant. I always, for some reason, I get first and final with that one, but it's TFD. That's all that seems to matter.
Got it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I've been playing a little bit of that and enjoying that game. It's kind of like, for those that aren't familiar, it's basically take Destiny and Warframe and kind of smash those together loosely. And then you have yourself a live service game. that is free to play, but they were more than happy to take your money.
Yeah.
But they do make it fairly easy to earn everything. Like you can earn every little bit. It just takes a little bit of grinding,
Yeah.
and they are definitely there's some cruel RNG in that
Oy.
game. But it's in their best interest to have RNG because they're hoping that you might just go ahead and buy that thing after you've tried to get the last piece of a character for the last 100 times.
Right.
You just go ahead and throw them a few bucks to buy it. But anyway, and just the usual stuff. WoW is kind of in maintenance mode where we are eager for what's about to happen. We'll probably talk a bit about that as well, but been doing achievements as raid teams typically do at this time, since there's no real raiding to happen anymore. Everyone's already
Right.
got the best gear they want to get. We've already done the specific raid achievement for that raid. So now you go back and like everyone that missed out on this raid in the past and this raid in the past and didn't get those ones. And well, I'm just hoping no one asks for that stupid egg achievement thing from way back when, because no one wants to go in there again ever.
Oh no.
So
That one
But,
or the all right, everyone walk. Kneel. Walk.
Yes.
Kneel.
Neil.
No.
Oh, that. And speaking of that, it was pretty funny that was part of the time walking this week.
Right.
And we were in the LFG for that, and someone said, "Hey, let's do the achievement." And we're
You're
like,
no.
"What?
No, let's not.
You're really going to tell these 30 people, okay, let's all synchronize kneeling
Yeah.
and make our way over?" And say, no, someone was already blasted through by the time they even finished typing the words out. So, but yeah, no, that was actually kind of fun again. It was, brought back the old memories of the FERT trying to do actual, the raid was quote unquote current content because it was time walking, and it was actually a little bit like you had to actually remember some of the mechanics. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened too. It's like, because you're so used to just walking up and smacking the spider on the nose and it falls over. So,
Yeah.
but it's like I didn't realize that what's its name, Elazarazor or whatever the Firebird's name is. Like,
Mhm.
it's like, wow, this fight was crazy back then.
Oh yeah.
It was very complicated, but yeah, no, that's probably been about it for me.
Awesome. What about you, Ted? What have you been up to?
Surviving. No, I broke out the 3D printer, and we'll see if this actually, if you can see this. It's a little. There we go. Come on, focus. So it's a little. It's
Yeah.
a little rook that you do as a test print. So I broke out the 3D printer, and then I have a Hero Forge character that I got them to print and paint. But let's see if I can get him in there. Close. But I got him all printed out. Hey, there we go. It's focusing. With his shield and his backpack and his little ale barrel and his hammer. So I got that working, and I'm happy with it. So I've got those set up now. But picked up an interesting idle game called Spirit City, and it's it's an idle background game that comes with a to-do list, a journal, a timer, so you remember to do stuff. But as you check stuff off, or as you just let the game idle, you can decorate the whole. You can decorate your. It's got a bed, a desk, a bay window, and a sitting area, and you can decorate it all. Change what time of day it is. Change the weather, the sound of the weather, the sound in the environment. But as you do this, you attract the spirits, and there's, I think, 20 of them right now that you can attract. But they come when it's the right time of day with the right ambiance and the right location, and so you can unlock and collect stuff. But it also gives you experience points for, like, I checked this off my to-do list, or I checked into the game today, that sort of thing. So just little stuff. And they have a new DLC coming out. Their kitchen DLC is coming out at the end of March. So just a little fun idle game to have running in the background when you're doing other stuff. And then I realized that I launched the BattleNet launcher, and for some reason, Blizzard, Activision, Obsidian,
Yeah.
put the Avowed icon like in my favorites list. I'm like, okay, one, I didn't ask for that, so get it out of there. And two, that's right, I forgot the game launched. Let me go look on Xbox because I'm not paying for it if I don't have to. So I went and looked on the Xbox Pass, and sure enough, it's available there. So I downloaded it and have started playing it. And it's a combination of Skyrim and Baldur's Gate 3 kind of environment. It's very Skyrim and how the combat plays and everything. But then it's also very Baldur's Gate 3 in that there's a lot of dialogue, NPC interaction. You get to choose your responses to people. You have a background of how your character got into this situation that they're in. There's a couple record scratch moments of like, you're wondering how I all got
how I
here.
got, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's you can actually, in some of the dialogue responses, you can use that background as one of the responses, or you can just
That's fun.
say something else, or you can just straight up lie to the character, and it's fun. So, yeah, it's fun, and of course, I don't know how it happens, but literally any game that has ranged combat and stealth, I immediately go into Stealth Ranger, and I cannot not do it. But this time, they've added magic to it. So I switch now between the sniper with the arrow where they can't see me, and then if they get up close, then it's just magic all the time. So it's fun. You can also dual wield. You can do sword and shield. You can do all kinds of different combat stuff. It's very fun. So, yeah. But that's what I've been up to.
Awesome. All right. And besides traveling literally across the world to do a training class for 2 weeks and eating a lot of Indian food, let's see, what else have I been up to? Oh, and the 10-hour travel delay getting back. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a blast. That part, not so much. Let's see. In our Call of Cthulhu holiday 8-shot, 9-shot, I don't remember. It was a
It
was
was
Supposed to be a one sheet. Yeah, say, aren't those usually a one shot?
well, no.
The
So he
problem
knows
is
they're
we
never going
talk
to be
a
a one
lot.
shot. No.
You
they're
talk
never
a lot.
Yeah. So originally, like, the first one we did was going to be a one shot. Like, no, it ended up being like a 4-shot, whatever. Like, now it's just a story, and it's going to take us as long as it's supposed to. So ours ended. It was, I think, 8 or 9 sessions, and then of course, because of holidays and my travel and all that, we finished up this week. We defeated the Nazis,
Mhm.
and the SS.
No one died. That wasn't supposed
No one
to.
died except for them.
Yeah.
There was a zombie invasion that we made sure was stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Due to an Allied bombing run that destroyed the item that created the zombie invasion, and a small town in France was destroyed on Christmas Eve
Partially.
to make sure the zombie invasion didn't happen. So that was about it. All right, so we're gonna get into our discussion in a few minutes. But let's go ahead and talk about this week's news. And folks, do you mind joining us for that part?
AIE News.
All right. In Nomad's news, Fez has been running a Valheim server, and also Arc servers are still running for anyone that wants to jump in. And No Man's Sky is put out another patch and still going strong. What is it, Max? 9-10 years after it launched? It's been a while. And they're just constantly putting out content for it. It is such a good game. Also, looking forward, Dune Awakening is going to launch on May 20th. There's some chatter about AIE in there, and at least one non-officer has already asked for an AIE group, or see if there's going to be some AIE group available. So keep your eye out for that game. And in Ashes of Creation, the beta is still in progress. Bach is playing, and I'm sure there's some others. Still a ways out for the official release, though, on that.
And over in WoW news, I should say WoW retail, patch 11.1 releases this Tuesday, coming up on February 25th. And Season 2 will begin the following week on March 4th. Basically, that is when the raid releases. At this time, they are doing not only Heroic is opening, but also Mythic opens at the same time. So basically, like, everything just whoosh, go. But per usual, there are many class and system changes that come with that patch. And the season brings a new raid, which is very Goblin-inspired. And honestly, from what I've seen, it reminds me a little bit of Fallout New Vegas. It's I would not be surprised to see like little references to it there. But you will also notice a new Mythic Plus dungeon pulled as well. So and as some tweaks, I think, as well to Delves. They have added a little bit more easier way of getting some of the better, the fancier, the stones that you use to upgrade your upgrade your gear. Yeah, because there's the stones, the actual regular stones, and then there's the actual seals.
Right.
And before you couldn't get the really good seals in Delves, which was kind of unfortunate. Like I think like at most maybe you got one or two, and like if you used one of the keys to open a special chest. But now supposedly you'll be able to get some more of those, so you're not going to be as locked out from doing things that are normally in Mythic Plus and Mythic Raid.
Nice. All right, and Lars, what's going on in WoW Classic?
Well, Cataclysm Classic got pretty quiet. So the first pre-patch for Mists of Pandaria will drop sometime in July, before July 31st. Full release for that expansion in the past, in the present, in the future, something like that, before August 31st. There's still some Action 20th Anniversary Classic. I'm playing that. I'm streaming that. Red Rum has been nudging me to join a group to do some dungeons, so that could be cool. And then I'm also running Hardcore, and it looks like some other people are as well. I just saw some action in the AIA Discord. Someone lost their level 10 recently because they became unstealthed, and mobs all attacked them. That sounds terrifying. And then what else is going on? The raid team, we stopped playing Kata. Looks like there's still a handful of players logging in. And someone had a note, the final Kata raid, Dragon Soul, was released yesterday, and Heroic was cleared in an hour by the World First Team, which is not entirely surprising.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research on SOD as well. Season of Discovery is in Phase 7. I might jump back into it, because there are some interesting things, like there's Karazhan Crypts, which is a new 5-person dungeon that sounds kind of interesting. And there actually is an upcoming raid, Scarlet Enclave, which isn't released yet. Maybe sometime over the next few months. It's not really sure when that should be coming out, but a brand new raid should be showing up in Season of Discovery. So, Classic is classicing in all 237 versions of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have WoW Retail, WoW Classic, WoW Classic, and then Season of Discovery. Like, right, there's 4 versions.
And then on the 20th anniversary server, which I'm playing on Dreamscythe, we have some people in a guild. Okay. It's guaranteed to continue on to TBC, so it is kind of its own separate reboot of it. And I think they're going to do that every 3 years or so, just reboot another classic that'll go through. Yep. Yeah, but it's fun.
Awesome.
It's keeping me busy.
Absolutely.
And what about SWTOR?
SWTOR, live stream next week. New content incoming. They cleared the new boss layers, won another planet, and with that new content incoming, we'll have to bug our STF, our SWTOR folks, to join us.
Yeah, that's what the live stream next week is about, is the new content that's coming out. So we'll have to get Max and Seema or Corey or Machete or any of the SWTOR people that want to come on. So All right. But switching games to ESO, Kramer will be hosting the next TOT tournament, which will run from February 24th, tomorrow, as we record this, to March 31st. The prizes include houses from the Crown Store and piles of gold. Yes, you can win houses. Let Kramer know
Wow.
if you'd like to join in. Greetings to all our Elder Scrolls Online players. We're about to host our 6th Tales of Tribute Guild-only tournament. You may wish to play after seeing the prize list this time. In order to participate, you need to have the High Isle chapter and the ability to play the game Tales of Tribute. If you need help getting the starting quest done, please ask for help, and one of us will be happy to help out. Tournament will run the last week of February until the end of March. Number of games per week will be determined after we see how many sign up. Sign-ups are now open. Please respond to the Tales of Tribute channel or DM Kramer29. Good luck to all players.
And over in Final Fantasy XIV news, there are multiple events getting ready to start in-game to prepare for the big 7.2 patch. The Mogul Tome event, which gets you trial mounts, emotes, glam items, and all kinds of just fun stuff. Sometimes there's at least usually one like exclusive item in there, but a lot of it is like, oh, you could get this over in this little raid over here that no one plays anymore, but here's an easy way to get it.
Yeah.
But that starts on February 26th. So when the WoW stuff happens, so they're not launching stuff on the same day like they used to kind of do, but they're still giving you something to do in case you get bored. However, Little Ladies Day starts on March 3rd and will run for 2 weeks, featuring a new glam outfit. So be sure to jump in there and grab that. The patch itself, which contains a new 8-man raid tier, a new exploration zone for crafters and gatherers to build outposts in space.
Space!
It's kind of similar to if you did the Ishgard restoration. I think it's going to be something along those lines. So expect something along, because that went really well. Like, people just stormed into the Ishgard restoration and loved that stuff. And it had really cool stuff in there. So we're hoping we see some more of that in the future.
Nice.
It's also the start of the end game for Dawn Trial, so we're going to see relic weapons. It will be releasing at the end of March with a final date to be announced in the next live letter, hopefully. That said, live letter will also be receiving new information on Dawn Trail's take on Bozcha Eureka, the occult crescent.
All right. And what's going on STO?
Well, Star Trek Online has started its 15th anniversary. Well, it's been
Nice.
ongoing. And that was the ship you will get at the end. You have until the 14th of March to complete your progression. You have to get 40 points, and you can get only 2 points every 20 hours. They also have hinted at that the Ark Royale from Starfleet Command 2 is going to be part of the anniversary ship bundle, and there have been other hints like the Pioneer 2 will be potentially another one. It sounds like a lot of motion picture skins on ships that will be coming in
Nice.
to the game.
And I
and-
like that they do that every 20 hours as opposed to like every 24 hours, because I've seen some things where like you can do this once every 24 hours, and I don't think people realize how much that drifts. Like, you started at 8 a.m. and the next day you're like, oh, it's not 8 a.m. yet, and then you realize at 8:05 and now it's drifted, and it just
Oh,
keeps
jeez.
going. So 20 hours is smart. Then you can do it at the same time every day, and you're set.
Yeah, that does fit.
Well, and there are some people, I am not one of them, that will actually use that 20-hour drift to drift it forward and get more time
Right.
and progression forward. And I'm sorry, I won't do that, because that means at some point in the middle of the night or
Yeah.
when I'm supposed to be sleeping, no
Yeah,
thanks.
because you could get an extra one every 5 days with that 4-hour drift. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the KDF fleet has been making a lot of progress. I thanks to everybody that's been putting in the hard work. We have just completed the Tier 1 colony, which even means we now have a fast travel now to the colony from our starbase.
Nice.
And it also means that in this coffer system that they have, these are just slowly generating more and more of the resources needed for projects, which is what I really was pushing for to get
Yeah.
that going, because that will
Yeah.
make it way easier when we're focusing on the colony to get it completed.
Yeah.
The Starbase has also been moving right along. We're closing in on Tier 4, which means more fleet ships will be unlocked. The Spire is closing on Tier 3, which has some of the better tactical consoles that you can get a hold of. And also then the research lab, we are counting down now on Tier 2. We're really getting close here. Once we get Tier 3, we'll end up having more trait slots available for our players.
Nice.
That really just such a really wonderful way to involve like the entire player base with that and make sure it's beneficial for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. The Fed fleet has all of this all completed. We're a maxed out fleet, but we are just stacking provisions, so that way if anyone needs to come in or wants to come in and buy anything from the fleet stores, they have plenty of stuff to do. And they can also earn fleet credits, which is one of the currencies you need to buy from the fleet stores. And then, fleet action report. We just passed 240 episodes.
Congrats.
And we've started a new series that focused on helping players and returning players from a long hiatus. I mean, we are digging into like the nitty gritty of like on the mini map, this is how you get, transport back up to your ship and stuff like, because there are, I have a friend that he stopped playing and it's been probably more than 3 years is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I have no clue what this is. Like, he goes, it's taking me so long to get from point A to point B in this mission. I'm like, are you in space? He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you hit full impulse? He's like, oh right.
Yeah. Oh no.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
We need to help people, because like he even started a new character to try to like refresh himself a little bit. So I'm like,
do that all the time.
We'll just start a whole new series in our show and trying to help some of these people get that extra information.
Yeah, and because there's stuff buried in, and it's not just STO, but like in STO you have menus that have sub menus that have stuff, and it's like, oh, this could be on my hotbar so I could get it easier, or this does this. So yeah, you almost do have to, when you come back from a hiatus in a game, or a game's changed its interface, you almost have to kind of start over to get those tutorials again.
Yeah. And we are still doing fun nights on Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, and everyone is welcome to come. You can bring your KDF or your Federation captains. We have ways to we'll either hop on the appropriate faction captains, or if the nice thing about STO, like WoW has done, is if you can invite people cross-faction to teams to run the task force operations, which are the dungeons for Star Trek Online.
Nice.
So, and if you're struggling with something, it's also a great time to come and ask for some help, and we will be glad to help you.
Excellent. All right, and Lotro news. Lord of the Rings Online is excited to announce that the 4 new 64-bit servers will make their debut on March 5th. Get all the information about the 64-bit servers, free transfers, other related topics on lotro.com. Look for the links in the show notes, but you'll find it. Here are some general details. On Monday, March 3rd at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, -5 GMT, VIP subscribers will be allowed to log in to the game world to access the character creation screens on their destination world and secure up to 3 names per 64-bit world of their choice. VIPs will not be able to log into the game world to play or be able to transfer existing characters, but they can create characters with their desired names and then later rename their transferred characters to the preferred names after deleting the placeholder character. On Tuesday, March 4th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, free transfers from 32 to 64-bit worlds will be available to all players. The new game worlds themselves will remain closed, but the transfer tool will enable them to allow transfers between these worlds. And then on March 5th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the new Game Worlds open. Free transfers from 32 to 64-bit worlds will continue through August 31st, 2025. Free transfers between 64-bit worlds will operate on a rotating weekly basis and continue through April 30th, 2025. And then on Wednesday, March 12th, they'll begin offering free transfers from many previously closed game worlds to these new worlds. There is a table with FAQ for specific server orders and timing at lotro.com. After this final transfer period, the previously closed worlds will be permanently closed and no future character transfers will be possible. All right, and if that was way too much, go to lotro.com to get some more information or check our show notes. With that, show notes. All right, and with that, let's get back to our guests. We have some fun questions about live service games, which both our guests do play quite a bit of, and you and Tet, feel free to jump in as well. I'm going to go ahead and start with Greybog with our first question, which is what keeps a live service game going, in your opinion?
Having a good community, honestly. But I mean, new content definitely helps and keeps the community, active.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Star Trek Online they keep doing events, which is their way of trying to keep the engagement up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a big part, like it fostering the community, and we've seen a lot of shift in that. For those that haven't been following STO, it's moved from Cryptic now to Deca, who is a German company, and they have been they've been a lot more open, a lot more trying to listen to the player base, which has been really nice to see, and I think that helps the players feel that it just helps the community in general for the game.
Yeah, and I want to say that like Deca is kind of known for being that company that takes a game that's been around for a while and maybe on its twilight years and tries to bring it into their area where they try to breathe a little bit of life into it, and kind of they want to set it up for that long term, not quite retirement, but like they're still getting some active updates and stuff like that. So do you feel like that is true?
Well, they just put in a new mission. It was primarily Deca that was working on the mission. Like at this point, there are no more, from my understanding, there's no more Cryptic folks working at all. They've unfortunately all been let go, which hopefully they've all been able to find new jobs. But I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, Deca's been like all the new ships, all like this new mission. They're the ones that have been pushing new content. So it's good to see that that's still happening. So I think they have stepped up to the plate and are doing quite well with that.
Awesome. All right, and Lars, what, in your opinion, keeps a live service game going?
I think it's really community managing. So I've stepped back into Lotro. So I'm this maybe a typical Lotro player who
Awesome. Okay.
I'm a lifetime subscriber, but never really played.
Same, yeah.
So it's nice because I got all these points and stuff I can spend on everything. But I've been paying attention to the community channels like Court of the Rings, and where they're keeping people updated on what's going on in the servers. They're updating things. The way they moved from the original model to the free-to-play model, combined with those of us that can be either VIP, I'm VIP for life, I think it works really well, and the community's really engaged. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with these 64-bit servers, because in theory, it'll just be two different servers. They'll just be these two mega servers, one for basically RP type and one for not on the US or North America side, and then they're actually having European servers now, not just branded as for Europeans. They'll actually be located over there. And it'll be interesting with some pains of having pretty much everyone migrating to these big servers.
Yeah. Right.
There's issues with it because of name clashes and all that kind of stuff. But I'm curious if maybe it'll jump up a little bit from the community here in AIE playing in Lotro with a little bit of buzz happening because of what's going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Mew and Tat, what are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Mew.
For that one, what you said is already very true, and I agree with that first. But after that, it's having something to chase.
Okay.
And in the case of the one that I'm probably focused on the most right now is the first Descendant. You have all of these characters that you can chase. You have all of this gear that you can chase,
Right.
and you have many ways of getting it, and it's also a collaborative co-op experience. So that is also a big part of it. Like, yes, it's nice to be able to sit down and kind of solo some stuff from time to time, but being able to bring friends in, community in, it kind of adds a little bit of randomness to it.
Mhm.
So that is a big part of it, is just having the chase,
Yeah.
having something to go after.
Yeah, agreed. And I think from my side, my even though I did raid lead and raid for a long time, I really think besides the community, for my angle, it's having good story content. Like, if you don't have an interesting story and you're just relying on your systems to keep things interesting or to keep people collecting things,
Mhm.
I think people can lose interest in that, or as we'll get to in another question, maybe there's just so much system content and collectibles coming out that you can't keep up and you get burned out trying to. So for me, I think it's not only the community, but having the story presented in a timely manner where you're not rushing through it, but you're also not having these huge pauses of story where, like, here's a little bit of story, wait 6 months, here's another little bit of story, wait 6 months, here's like you're stringing the players along just
Right.
to keep them in the game. So, but that's a good segue right into the second question of and I'm going to target Greebog with this first because he mentioned collecting all the ships. How do you keep up with all the content coming out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, fortunately for the story missions, they only do one like every so often. So it's usually about 2 a year. One in the
That's not bad.
spring, one in the fall.
Mhm.
But they are still pretty lengthy. Like this current mission, even when skipping all the cutscenes and trying to go as fast as you can, 35 minutes.
Oh.
So it's a good hour if you're going through and getting all the story and whatnot.
Mhm.
On replay, it makes it a bit lengthy and yeah. But to keep up with, like, there are just so many ships. They keep putting more ships in. Like, I can just show you, like, there are. So, and this is just the Federation tab. You have
Right.
the Klingon Defense Force. Like, keeping up with it. One, it would cost you a lot of money in STO, but honestly, you gotta pick and choose a bit. It's up to you to figure out where your line is, I guess would be a good way to put, and not to exceed that, because otherwise, yeah. I think one of the next questions,
Yeah.
is that would lead into.
Exactly. What about for you, Lars? How do you manage, like, in WoW? There's what, four or five versions of WoW. How do you
Like you
manage?
said, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
How
too
do
many.
you just focus in on like one version, one character, or do you?
Actually, so now that I have much more gray hair, I've have a different perspective on things. I've slowed down in life, but I think I'm doing this thing where I'm actually publishing an hour of gameplay to my YouTube channel each day, like in the morning and afternoon. But it's all pre-recorded and I publish it. And it's kind of kept me focused on what do I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Sure.
publishing 2 different playthroughs of Starfield. One's modded, one's not, and Lotro in the mornings, and then WoW Classic, both the hardcore and the classic fresh 20th anniversary character, because I never hit 60 during a classic, either vanilla, because I just joined just before TBC dropped, and then I didn't hit 60 till TBC was out. Same thing when classic was launched, because that pandemic hit and I was busy teaching. So I've decided on things I want to do, and I'm focusing on those things I want to do and just ignoring all the noise. And it's actually stopped me from altaholicking. In Lotro, I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm looking around and enjoying the scenery and just doing whatever the heck I want to do. I don't really have something I need to do. So it's been kind of zen. Just I do, I'm publishing an hour video each day. It's not like that's that much gameplay in reality, but it's kind of kept me focused. And then once a month or so, I decide, I'll flip things around and I'll do something different. So having a plan has been working well for me, and not trying to do all the things.
Awesome.
So yeah,
That works.
What
my
about
strategy.
you?
I'm actually doing a little bit more of that myself, honestly. Like is fond of memories I had of WoW Classic. Like I really enjoy the game as it is now.
Yep.
So while I might have poked at Classic here and there just to kind of get a little bit of a nostalgia hit, that was enough. Like I got to the annoying part, and I was like, yeah, okay, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a very different part of life when you were originally playing. When when those versions were live. So
yeah,
you
when
have
I had
to
the
play
time.
differently now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So when I want to say like a year or two ago, I actually delved back into Final Fantasy XI and poked at that for a bit. And while they have greatly improved things in that game, it is still very grindy.
Yeah.
It's like I remember, one of the reasons that I was drawn to WoW so strongly, I remember saying to myself, Final Fantasy XI, this is a job. This is 8 hours a day. Like you get home from work and you're spending 8 hours just trying to keep up with what's going on, and it's just and WoW at the time, and this is kind of funny. WoW Classic at the time wasn't nearly that bad.
No.
And
but now looking back at WoW Classic,
I know. You're like, wow, how did I do so much back then? How did I have the time to do that? So yeah, it's now I am now drawn to games that give me the ability to have like a quick burst and still feel like I'm keeping up with things. And right now, WoW is doing that. Final Fantasy 14 is also doing that to an extent. And the just games where I can just jump in, enjoy a few messages and jump out. And the First Descendant is much like that, where it's really set that way. Like most people are kind of standing around in the little hub city, and you basically just jump over to a map, do a couple missions, do a couple of void boss attacks, and you're done for the day. Like it doesn't ask any more of that from you.
Nice.
And I can appreciate that when a game can actually appreciate your time.
Sure.
Cool. And McCullough, I know you're focused on the pen and paper, so I do have a question though.
Yes.
With all the changes coming out, like D&D to the 2024 rules, and one of our DMs creating his own game system and stuff like that, how do you find keeping up with the role-playing games and the rules?
Honestly, one thing that I find best about that, or way that is, go over the rules, see what, making sure you can understand. But I know for me, as a learner, I do best by doing, and I do best by just asking questions. So if I don't get it, I'm going to pause and say, "Hey, I don't quite comprehend this. Can you kind of go over it with me?"
Right.
And if I still have a hard time comprehending, I'm going to trust my players and my DM to guide me through it.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, on to the next question then, looks like.
Sir.
Yes.
So, very important thing to keep in mind while we're playing all these fun games is how do we avoid burning out with the need to play all the content everywhere at all times?
Yeah.
And focus only on what you actually find fun. In other words, not having an 8-hour-a-day game job.
A game job?
Yeah. Who do you
So I
want to
think
start
I
with?
already kind of answered that
Yeah.
with my last
Yeah.
answer. So I'll,
Yep.
I'll defer since putting a schedule helped me because
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do that much each day, but that's kind of my limit.
I'm kind of in the same boat of like, yeah, knowing how much time and not trying to push past it. Because while I have my hyper focus sometimes where there have been times, yes, where I've gotten into a game, doesn't matter if it's STO, WoW, whatever, and I start playing it, and then I look down and it's already 3 a.m. and I'm like,
Oh
where the heck
God.
did the time go?
Civilization. Just
Yeah.
one more turn. Yes.
Yep.
But just like that, setting a limit, and also if you are feeling like that burn, everyone needs to remember to take some time for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether the game's going to be here tomorrow, the day after that, you can always come back, and just remember your mental health is important. So just taking time for yourself is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep. And
Go ahead, Mew.
I say one of the things to be wary of, and a lot of games have this little thing because they want to entice you to be in, right? Especially if they're trying to get ratings set up so to show how busy their game is. But be wary of those games that don't have something that you can just come back and do later. There's definitely a couple games like I want to say like Genshin Impact had this problem where they had limited time events that once that event was done, it was gone forever. And the funny thing is the same company learned from that mistake, and in some of their future games, they now have put that limited time event into a special category, so you can still go back and do it.
Yeah.
So, they've learned from their own mistake of it's like because there's a lot of really neat content in Genshin that you could just easily miss, and it's just gone. Like full on story, like actual character building story with really neat like gear or toys or just something interesting, and now it's gone forever because that's just how they had it set up, and I guess it's just too hard for them to go back and fix that. But there are future games they learn, like, okay, yes, we have a limited time event, and maybe like this super uber cool like extra charge up thing will not be available when you get back and do it, but you can still at least see the content, you can still see the story, you can still because that's a fun game someone put together. Like they've had some little mini games that are really interesting that are just gone now because of the way that setup was. So yeah, just be wary of games like that because they're they all want your time. They want your time, your money, your attention.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and you went exactly where I was, because that's honestly what burned me out in WoW was the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you weren't doing everything to keep up, so you could see all the stories, so you could collect all the shinies, and honestly, what kind of broke it for me, besides just the the expansion burnout, was they like, here's a new mount you can collect, and here's some new pets you can get at the for traders tender, and that sort of stuff. And I finally just went like, okay, there's an achievement for, I want to say 1,500 unique pets, and so many unique mounts, or so many mounts on a character, and I'm like, at what point do you just stop collecting everything because there's no way to to keep up with it?
Right.
You just kind of have to step back and go, okay, what am I interested in this, and is it fun and achievable without having to commit to a grind or something like that? I've known friends that have stepped back from raiding for the same thing. Like, I want to see the raid, but I'm just getting burned out on all the stuff you have to do because raiding seems like a job.
Right. Right. You had to get the gear to get ready for the raid, and then trying to compete with the other raiders to get the gear to continue with the raid. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
consumables and
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that point, like one of the reasons why I've been happy with how WoW's been doing is that with like this current expansion, they don't have that problem. I have literally not set foot in any of the new dungeons which
Right.
means I have not touched the Mythic Plus
Right.
because I don't have to.
Right. 'cause
I've
you're doing it
actually
through
really enjoyed.
Delves.
I'm doing it through the Delves. The Delves
Yeah.
are really interesting, fun stories. Every time you go to the Delve, there's like I want to say like 3 or 4 different stories for every Delve. So like it's a different experience every time. Sometimes you'll get repeats, of course, but it's
Yeah.
just more interesting, and I can still get stuff that keeps me relevant with the raid. Sure, I don't have the brightest, shiniest,
Right.
highest level everything because I'm not in Mythic Plus and I'm not doing Mythic raiding. But that's just it. I'm not a Mythic raider. I'm a heroic raider at most.
Yeah.
And I'm able to keep up. I'm the tank. I'm staying well alive. My eye levels are near everyone else. It's just I'm not doing Mythic Pluses and I'm not causing myself to suffer.
Right.
Yeah, because again, you're not, young and able to game for 8 hours a night.
Yeah.
Or day,
Yeah.
because depending on your time zone.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and that's the nice thing. It's not that Mythic Plus or Mythic rating or pet collecting or whatever you want to say is bad. It's there for the people that want to focus in on it and do it. So 100% I'm glad, I'm glad it's there. It just I realized that I was trying to do way too much stuff, and my ability to play or interact with the game is varied depending on day of the week, what we've got going on, other real life responsibilities. So that's why I've kind of flipped from a live service game into single player games, because I know I can step in, play a few minutes. If I need to pause, I can literally just hit escape, go do what I need to do.
Right.
Come back to it, and I'm not impacting anyone. I'm not impacting anyone else.
That's a yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
think that's a great lead-in for our next question.
Mhm.
What do live services do well, and what don't they do well? So, Lars, what's your thought?
So bridging right off Tets there is I never rated early WoW because I had kids at that age,
Right.
and it was
Right.
just like you're saying, like I can't walk away from the computer because I'm
Right.
disappointing other people.
Yeah, I've got 24
You have other
and that's a
responsibility.
core
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
me, and so I
Yeah.
couldn't raid until thankfully we did that with Classic and our raiding group. We made it through all of Wrath of the Lich King, and that was fun. I got to do things I couldn't do back then. But I think now that I'm hearing, because I haven't really got into WoW retail when our group jumped over, and it just all feels weird and fuzzy to me.
Yeah.
But I do like what you're saying, and I was going to bridge on that as well, is a game that lets you play that live service game the way you want and not forcing you down a certain tunnel. And those of us that practically just play single player in these live server
Right.
games as well, which is very common for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's important when you get crunched into having to do the Mythic Pluses or whatever you got to do to be able to do the rating, and you got to do the PvP to do the rating, and it all ties together, and it just becomes a wicked job.
Yeah.
That's just bad. And I know that WoW went through that before as well, and other games as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
my biggest thing with that, and I caught myself because it was a vicious cycle. It's like, why am I trying to get all this higher
Yeah.
level gear, even though I'm not raiding? And it's because I
Mhm.
wanted to do the content I wanted to do faster with
Mhm.
more survivability. So I was grinding gear outside the content I wanted to do so that I could do the content I wanted to do, better or
Easier
faster
or
or
better.
easier or
That's work.
and then and you look at yourself and go, "Are you having fun?" I'm like, "No, we're not."
No.
We're
No,
not.
but I have the gear I want.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
But-
that's miserable.
But Greebug, I know STO, it's very easy to pop in, do, a quick mission, do a quick something that you want to do, and get out, whether it's in a group or in a single player. It's very friendly that way.
It is. Unfortunately, the events kind of feed into that FOMO for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a great example of how the devs are listening to the player base. When the 15th anniversary event started, they initially wanted us to do 2 of the dungeon, like the TFOs,
Ooh.
to get the completion done for the day.
Right.
And the player base was not happy. And
Mhm.
Very
well,
vocal.
I mean, basically, like player base wants to be able to do the event real quick and then get on to playing the rest of the game.
Right.
Yep.
Or if they're busy, get out of the game and get back to their life.
Yeah.
And when you were making us do 2, the time investment was way high.
Why not?
Yeah.
And well, yes, you can do one of these in like 15 minutes. But that could be 30 minutes. Like if you're doing 2 of them,
Right.
that you know that you didn't have.
Yeah.
I also
Or, you know.
remember there was a problem where one of the TFOs had a fail condition,
Yes.
and it was very easy to trigger that fail condition, and that would basically mean you had to start the whole thing over. So people were
Well,
not happy about that.
Yeah.
There's still, when they do the red alert event, a fail condition on one of the red alerts, which they warn
Mhm.
you about. And though they also keep saying in a future event they will remove the fail condition.
Yeah.
And this has been something they've said for 5 years now.
Mhm.
And
Gosh.
maybe with Deca they will have the time to be able to get to it. I know
Yeah.
Cryptic didn't have the time.
Right.
But it's like I said, it's nice that they listened to the player base, because like, yeah, STO, get in, get out. You know, if that's all you have time for that day, it's great. 15 minutes, you get your daily done,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But the fact that the event rewards are like limited, though they have been, they bring them back typically.
Yes.
Though a lot of times they stick them in the Muds Market. And you can see here, like this Crystal Harmonic set that's on my screen. This was a past event, and now you can buy it out. It just buy it with real money. Yeah, that's like $37.50. But how much is your time worth? And as the Frankie
Yeah.
say, time is money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you get into that discussion in real life. Like, yes, I could have a bunch of friends help me with this, or I could just have a moving company come and do this. Like, okay, we're at the age where cash is better than pizza and beer, so we're just going to spend the money, and
Exactly.
get this done. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
completely understand.
Well, in every event that they put into the game, there is always a buyout. And while I don't typically, I don't think I've bought any of them out, but it's, people can still get, like, this ship is supposed to be one of the best ones in the game that they've given us in a free event. You can just buy it out if you can't meet the time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And I think one thing that adds to that, the FOMO, and also making it feel like a job, is the number of games that have put in a battle pass or a...
Yeah.
I guess battle pass is the best way of putting it. I forget what... because SOTOR has one, Diablo 4 has one. It's that event where you have to progress it along, and it can have 50 or 100 things that you have to fill in to get it done. And that's also, at least for me, I don't know that that's necessarily the best way of achieving player engagement and not burning players out, like, because you get a serious case of, well, if I complete this, I get this, and if I don't complete this, then why did I spend any time on it? Or it's just frustrating for me. What about you, Mew?
Honestly, it ties back into what I was saying before. Just, I really don't like it when they do little things that are like, oh, sorry, you missed out. Maybe you should be here and constantly playing 24/7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't use stick in video games. Sorry, we use carrot,
Yeah.
not
yeah.
stick.
Yeah.
This is video game. We're here to have fun, not be punished.
I mean, I get it when it's a limited time event, like when we did the like the pre-patch things where they launch and they have, okay, this is going to be for 2-3 weeks, and there's going to be some collectibles, and it's just during this event. It's like, well, if you're looking forward to playing the game anyway, and you've bought the expansion, you're going to want to take part in that. But I think it's the case where they do that in the regular content. That's where it really gets egregious. So.
Okay, I think we're to our last question there, and
We
that one is
are.
yours, Ted. Though I think we've answered a lot of it.
Great questions.
Yeah. I think we did. I think since we're at time, I think we can kind of skip that one, because I think we did the question just for the listening audience was, what are some things that make you not want to invest time in a game, and what are some things to do? And I think we just honestly covered that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Awesome. All right. Well, and with that, I think that is our show for tonight. Chat room, you know what to do. Start suggesting some titles. I want to thank Lars and Greybog for joining us this evening for some great discussion and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And Lars, be sure we have Greybog's STO channel that they do on YouTube. But if you wouldn't mind throwing your YouTube channel in the show notes, so we can hype that up as well.
I can do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Be one of my 5 followers.
Hey, you know what? Get it on there, though. We're a big community, so get it in there, and you might have a few more.
Exactly.
Maybe.
All right. And if you have a question or comment about the show, you can email us at podcast@aie-guild.org. You can find us on AIE Discord and on Blue Sky. Just look for AIE Podcast. We record live with video every other Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can join the chat room and play along with us on our website at aie-guild.org, podcast-live-stream, and look for the link to our Discord server there as well. For past episodes on our aforementioned YouTube channel, just look for the AIE Podcast. Our theme was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul.
And if you have any AIE member segments, this is the area we put them in, so please send them in.
Absolutely. And next time, we'll be joined, we're talking to some folks in Star Wars. Hint, hint, hint. We got a few of those folks. So until then, AIE.
This is Greybug.
This is Lars.
This is Makala.
This is Tetsemi.
This is Mukau.
And this has been the AIE Podcast.
Yay!
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 Awesome.
Great show, guys.
Dude, that's, I think, the shortest show we've ever had with 5 people, but got a lot of content in.
Exactly.
Well, Lank wasn't here, so it didn't become
exactly.
5 hours.
No, it was a wonderful show. Yeah, no, that's not, I can't do a 3-hour show anymore.
No, it's
Not
putting limits on yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Is it not unless there's a
Wait,
drink service?
what?
Yeah.
True.
So,
Missed
all
that
right, I
message.
like we've got 2 great titles so far. So YOLO, so no FOMO, or this
Nice.
podcast is now live service. God.
And over on Twitch, we have Fear of Missing Outland and Long Live and Plunder.
Oh my
Nice.
gosh, those are all great.
Which then made me think of Plunderstorm and how I just could not do that this time around.
Yeah.
I haven't set foot in it. Yep.
I did
Sorry.
it the first time around. I didn't enjoy it, and when they brought it back, I'm like, I didn't enjoy it the first time. Why am I going to do it again?
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't even finish it.
I would love to have the stuff they're giving away in it. I just don't know. No.
What's nice is they actually kept going back to the FOMO. You could get all the stuff from the first Plunderstorm. You could still buy all that stuff this time around and get the new stuff. So, it wasn't that if there was anything you wanted to collect from the vendor, it was still available. So, all right.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things. It's not my favorite.
Right, it's not your jam, and you didn't participate, which is, that's your option. That's what you got to do. You got to choose. So, all right. Well, chat room, thank you all very much. Lars and Griebach, thank you so much.
And what are your guys' thoughts on the titles there?
I'm gonna stop the stream and we can talk about that off stream so we surprise everyone.
Perfect.